Hi everyone and welcome to the Warmer Podcast. We're your hosts, Jack
and Dan.
And today we're going to be talking about Forgeworld. What is going on with Forgeworld?
Yeah, the latest in our What Is Going On series. Yeah.
There's a lot of those going on right now.
Yeah, I mean, is GW getting rid of resin? Is 40k losing access to Forgeworld? And are we going to miss out on some of the most iconic and impressive models in 40k?
It's just going down and down.
There is cause for concern. Yeah,
100%, yeah. There's just... I don't know. I don't like it. I really don't like it.
Yeah, I think it's worth. It is definitely worth talking about. Before we get into that, though, please do remember to comment. Tell us what your thoughts about Forgeworld are, your experiences if you've bought Forgeworld, and like and subscribe as well. If you drop us a sub, it makes a big difference to a growing channel like ours. Please.
Massive thank you.
But yeah, getting into it then, just for the noobs and well, probably for my benefit as well. What is Forgeworld?
What is Forgeworld? Yeah. So it used to be a separate arm of Games Workshop.
Yes.
With its own website and its own shebang.
Right.
It specialized in spectacular set piece models. Particular. I mean, Necron pylons were a massive one for me. I loved seeing them terrain bits.
We had some beautiful Forgeworld stuff. Yeah, that Seraptek heavy construct, gorgeous.
Used to. And then we'll talk more about it later.
Yeah. But it's worth saying these are not plastic, though, is it?
Correct. They are produced in resin.
Right.
Good, bad. Because there's some horror stories of stuff online of literally these massive centerpieces coming that was like, I mean, I kind of warped my arm, but it's like a warped thing. Yeah. And now, don't get me wrong, they credit where credit due, they always do kind of replace that one. I've seen videos online where people have like the manta ray that they get from
that's the biggest one, I think, isn't it? Yeah.
That they have those big wing pieces that are warped, and they do replace them. I've not seen a story where they haven't replaced them, but it's that element of hassle, isn't it, of going through it all.
It's value versus expense of service. So if you pay a top dollar, you don't expect something to be bad out of the box. They should be checking this before it goes in the box.
Exactly.
We'll come on to that. But I mean, other examples of manta rays that I think is the biggest single model that GW does, but the most famous probably examples would be
Titans.
Yes,
they are crazy. Yeah. Like, I mean, they are a staple, I would probably say.
Yeah.
You know, in like the big narrative events that you'd probably see, they never go out without a Titan. Basically, there's always a Titan at least.
You were on the receiving end of a Titan at the last narrative event you went to.
Horrible it was. Up until I turned on a fortress, the Blackstone Fortress.
Oh yeah,
and absolutely rinsed 3 of them, which is unreal. We'll talk more about that later.
Good.
That was a good friend.
But,
Scott, who run that.
Price wise, I mean, the Titans are a good guide. I mean, they're on the expensive side of Forgeworld, but
just a bit, right? Just a bit. If you think the normal 40k army is bad, these ones range from anywhere between 500 quid for up to 1,000 on some models.
Yeah, so the Warhound, the smaller ones are about 500 quid. Apologies for Americans. I'm gonna say that's around 750. I think.
Yeah, I think it's about right. $750. I'm gonna say 765.
But yeah, it's an awful lot of money. It's a flex, isn't it?
It is. And I remember when we went to Warhammer World, and there was just one guy who fielded one Warhound Titan for 2,000 points. It was like 1,995 points, but that was the only model he brought and just put it on the table and was like, right, let's play.
Come at me, bro.
Yeah, come at me. You're never gonna kill me, but all you have to do is take objectives and you win. But hey, it was still fun to see.
Yeah, that is the perfect place to take it to that Rally Point event, which was a fun event. Yeah, and you want to play with your toys there, don't you?
So if you're spending this much money on it, you're probably going to spend a lot of time sanding it, painting it, and then you want to play it. So you don't want to see it on a shelf.
But you were mentioning that it used to have its own website. Things have changed a little bit.
Yeah. There's just, what has changed?
Well, at the end of 2023, GW closed the Forgeworld website. This was part of the new, amazing new website rollout that GW did, which went perfectly and no one complained about.
Not at all. Not at all. Was it a forced close or a cease and desist? I don't know.
But I mean, you can, the Forgeworld models, you can still get them on the GW, on the official Warhammer website, but they're now called expert kits. They come with like, a note saying, basically don't buy them if you don't know what you're doing type thing. But
that's pretty good. You don't see that in a lot of places. I will give them credit
where absolutely. Again, I think that's the right thing to do. And
literally labeling them, being like, hey, don't buy these if you don't know what you're doing. Like,
and I don't mind they've moved them into the full website, but they've kind of hidden the Forgeworld name as well, so you can't you can't just search Forgeworld and like to get these things to come up.
Absorbing into their own thing, aren't they? Little stealers of content.
I think the one of the reasons we wanted to talk about this is the other challenge is for 10th edition, a lot of Forgeworld units moved to Legends. Which means that you can play them, as we just mentioned, in your fun, casual, narrative games. Brilliant, but you can't play them competitively unless the tournament stipulates that you can.
Which typically are narrative events, which allow this sort of stuff, or little private events that are allowed, which we go to as well.
Yes, which is good.
It certainly is good. I just feel like it's such a gut punch. I mean, the massive one that massively happened with the Space Marines ones, where the Firstborn went to Legends.
Yeah.
That was a big one because a lot of people were sitting there with massive
had a lot of Firstborn
armies, and then being unplayable in tournaments was
it was the final hammer blow. I mean, a lot of players left when they brought Primaris in back in the mid 2000s, and then this was those that were hanging on that still loved Firstborn. This is like it was
the nail in the coffin. Really,
that is exactly the phrase. It's I mean, because the data sheets aren't on the app. Legends exists on a PDF which is available on Warhammer Community downloads, but it's not on the app. And increasingly these models have been like a lot of Forgeworld have just been discontinued. Like you can't buy them.
Yeah, and it's like, why? If they're in Legends, surely they should be able to still get purchased, but they're not. What's the reason?
It kind of feels like a soft discontinuation.
I was going to say a harsher word than that. A soft middle finger.
Soft shafting is exactly what it is. Yeah, which in some situations can be good, but not in this one.
No, it's it's just such a shame really to see these going. I mean, we had one model go and then return quite recently.
Yes. So, well, I mean, one of the obviously, as you regular viewers know, we're both Necron fans, so we're acutely aware of this because they did discontinue some of ours, didn't they?
They did. So I'll run through that list now. So for the Necron range, they got rid of the Necron Pylon. I'm gonna start with that one first because that one was that
made you quite sad.
It did because I just thought it looked so Necron.
Yeah,
it had everything that you would from that you would expect from a Necron unit.
Yeah,
and granted, it wasn't the best. It was just a stationary model that sat down, and it was. I guess it had some really good firepower, but in terms of a regular 40k game, it was like a fortification. And we know Games Workshop hate fortifications.
Yeah.
So that one was gone. The Canoptic Tombstalker and Sentinel have gone as well.
Yeah, that's one of my favourite models.
Yep, it's for anyone who doesn't know, I'll put a little picture on screen, but it's just this little
the angry centipede.
Yeah, pretty much there. Yeah, and it looks the model, the basing, and
the very hungry caterpillar.
Exactly, the very very hungry one. Yeah, fantastic models. And this other one, which I wasn't a big fan of, the Canoptic Acanthrites.
These were like the kind of the waspy type of models.
Flyers. Yeah. I remember seeing them at Warhammer, not Warhammer World. Where did we go again? What event did we go to? That was fun, and then
I can't remember.
We queued a lot.
Oh yes, Warhammer Fest.
Warhammer Fest.
Yes,
that's the one.
Yes,
I remember picking them up and
then being
like, and I was like, should I get them? Should I not? I'm glad I didn't because I'd be so mad for them.
I kind of like the models. I didn't buy them because they were resin. I was waiting for a plastic kit, and then GW went, nah. So
it sucks.
And the other one you mentioned is the one that's caused the most controversy because it's probably the favourite.
It is, exactly. So this is the Seraptek Heavy Construct. So this was available. The last one.
Is it available? Yeah.
And it was on the website. Happy days, thumbs up, and suddenly, gone. Pulled the rug from under it. It was gone. Everyone was like, "Oh, is this the end?"
Yeah. And there was no announcement. It just became unavailable on the website because we should have probably mentioned this before, but a lot of the big stuff is a made to order. What used to be Forgeworld is now expert kits. So you would order it and then you would pay your money and then GW would deliver it up to 6 months later when they felt like it.
I swear the email says something like, "You'll receive this between 1 and 365
Yeah,
days. I swear it's something.
I'm sure it's 180 days or something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that it disappeared off the website, and then
some rumor that's probably worth mentioning that circulated online where people staff were saying that it's no longer available.
Yeah, people were saying on Reddit and stuff like that they'd rang up and had been told that it was no longer available.
Discontinued.
Yeah.
But then an Uno reverse card comes around, and it's back on the website. Why? Who knows?
Well, this was a funny one. It happened in between Christmas and New Year. So if you've missed it, then this is what happened. So the Warhammer community on Sundays, they do a Sunday preview every Sunday that announces which minis are coming soon, basically.
Yeah.
And in amongst all the new releases, if you like, it said that the Seraptek heavy construct with the synaptic obliterators was coming back. But it doesn't say when that's going to happen. And I checked yesterday, and it's still not on the website.
But why say coming back when it wasn't officially removed?
Yeah, because obviously it was. I mean, obviously it was removed, and they've realised people were angry and they've done something about it. But it's still not showing on the Warhammer website. So tell me if I'm wrong, but I checked yesterday. By the time this video comes out, there's a lag. The rules it also states are available to download from the Warhammer community, and that's where the Legends data sheets are kept. Now, this is important because there is a halfway house for some of these units, right? Which is it's more complexity from GW, but I'll explain it. So, as we talked about before, most of our forge, what we would call Forgeworld units, were in Legends. So we know they're not on the app.
Yeah,
the Seraptek Heavy Construct was on the app, but it's not in the Codex bit. There is a separate section called Imperial Armor on the app, and this was the only unit that's in it for Necrons.
Right.
But if they're saying now that the rules are going to be available to download from the Warhammer community website, that's where Legends PDF is. So it sounds like they're taking it off the app.
Do you reckon them bringing them back is just them selling stock?
I mean, I think they've just brought it back to say this is your last chance, basically, because they didn't. This is how a normal company should work. GW is that if you decide you're going to discontinue something, you announce it and say we're going to stop doing this. You accept there's going to be some saltiness, but what you say is this is your last chance to order this. Order it before X date, the cutoff point is February or something.
Yeah.
And then anybody that's been dreaming of one of these has the chance to buy one.
Yeah.
And then it's done. And you're making it clear that it's going away and it's not going to be a part of the game, but people that just like to have one for the collector side of it can still get a hold of it. What you don't do is just stop making it and not tell anybody.
Yeah.
It's
I stayed quiet during that rant because I could tell you were passionate about that one.
It's just GW. GW has done a lot, has made leaps and bounds in terms of communicating with its customers in the past 18 months or so.
Yeah.
But this is going back to its horrible old ways of not telling us what it's doing.
I think you nailed it there. It's communication, isn't it? It's like if they were just open and honest and picked a side and said, this is what's going to happen. Yeah, there might be a little bit of saltiness, but not as much as there is now about it, because people are making videos like this one. People are talking about it online and spreading, let's just say, rumors at this point about it being discontinued, and that's what the people were saying, because there wasn't any good communication out there to give us the proper picture.
Oh, I mean, you can call me suspicious, but there is a trail of breadcrumbs here that GW has decided these models don't belong in the game and wants to get rid of them.
Oh, yeah.
I mean...
Like is there a scene for these big models in a 40k game nowadays?
Yeah.
It's hard to say, isn't it? Because we've briefly mentioned we're going to do another video on how big models can be and how they can play, but these guys fall on the big side. And point wise, it's typically for 30k for 3k points. Would we be?
Yeah, you're bringing them in your big apocalypse games and that kind of stuff. Yeah, but at I mean, stage one, right, is making these expensive points wise so that they're not worth taking. Stage two is putting them in Imperial Armor so that they're still technically available for competitive games. But stage three is moving them to Legends, and then stage four is just getting rid of them.
Just not talking about them.
Yeah, not talking about it.
Seraptek Heavy Construct?
What's that? Yeah.
We've never heard of it. It's not on our website, is it? Is it on the app? It never existed.
So yeah, it's
Games Workshop are gaslighting their community. That's exactly what they're doing.
It does feel a lot like that. It's really bad communications.
It's like you can play them if you want, but we're not gonna let you.
Yeah. I mean, I would much rather. There's always going to be, I can be salty. Anybody can be salty. 40k
salty.
fans are allowed to be salty, and we are occasionally salty. So GW knows there's going to be saltiness when you stop making anything.
Yeah.
It could be anything.
Oh yeah.
But the way to do it, as we talked about, is to be upfront about it and to have timeline for it so that people are aware.
Yeah.
And everybody understands what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to do this quietly is not the way to do it because it just causes more hassle.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's just rumors get circulated, and it's just a bad reflection on the company.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's what it does.
What about you? You just briefly touched on this to stop me ranting anymore. But I mean, does this change how we're going to play? For us, how we're going to play the game?
Well, realistically, no. Like, do we own one of those models?
No.
But there are multiple reasons why that. But realistically, in a normal 2K game, these units don't fit the bill.
Yeah.
Let's be real. They're either too big, they don't have the abilities that you need to complete objectives. Actually, I don't even know. Does this one have the Titanic keyword?
Oh, aye.
Probably. So it can do actions whilst on an objective, but getting to the objective is another story.
You can't move. You just simply can't. Yeah,
it's
you
just
can't move around the board.
It's just too big.
Yeah,
exactly right. And that's a pricey model. These models range again well over the £500 mark, whatever that is in dollars and such.
Yes.
But wanting to field that in a casual game, I'd be scared. Like I love seeing the Bio Titan, I think it is.
Yeah, the Tyranid Bio Titan. Yeah, the Hierophant.
It is so funny seeing that on a table when you go to a tournament. It's an eye catcher. You walk past and you're like, that looks incredible. Like that, can I take a photo? Yada yada. And then you talk to the guy, and the guy's like, "Oh yeah, I'm losing every game because I can't get anywhere further forward." So
I played that guy at the Northeast Open that brought the Hierophant, and he'd been saying this. I've brought it because it's cool, but people are telling me I can't move it around the board, and I can't this and that. And I said, "Mate," I said, I mean, it was the last game of the day. I said to him, "Do what you want with it." I said, "I'm really pleased you brought it." I said, I want you to enjoy it. If you want to move it through terrain, move it through terrain.
Yeah.
If you want to shoot things, you can shoot what you like. I don't care.
Yeah.
To have fun with it.
Yeah, exactly.
But
you can roll dice. Let's roll some dice.
Yes, but in a tournament situation, your opponent would be entitled to say no because it's a tournament.
Absolutely, yeah.
So you can't rely on that. But it's not a tournament model. Let's be honest.
Exactly right.
But you touched on this before. But there is a great place for this kind of model, isn't there?
It certainly is in these narrative events.
Yeah.
These big narrative events. These are what they're designed for.
Yes.
They're a centerpiece. And in narrative events, you can bring 3 of them. You can bring more, which is lovely.
Can you imagine owning 3? Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you went to was it Apocalypticon?
I did. Scott runs that. Lovely blog, lovely event. Please check it out. Well, Dan put the links in the chat. Telling you to do it because he does that. Put the links in the chat because it was a great event. It was a good day. It lasted over 2 days. My personal opinion on the Necrons, I felt like I lacked so much presence.
Because you didn't have a Seraptek.
I didn't have that, or just any centerpiece big models.
Right.
I brought 2 monoliths. Granted, pretty big models in comparison to a lot of our units. They were dwarfs in comparison.
We're coming up, looking up against these Titans. They
were just one shot immediately, which is fair. They're Titans. I get that, but. It just felt so sad. I brought about 7,000 worth of Necrons. I put them all down on the field as much as I can, and I just looked, and there was nothing that was like a standout.
Yeah,
if that makes sense. I looked to my right, and I had Tower on my side, and they had these massive gun platforms. Just looked incredible, and it was like, oh, those guys are expensive. They're like 3,000 and odd points each, and I was like, that's a centerpiece.
Yes,
looked across the table. Titans I think they had 3 Titans, and then they had the smaller Warhound Titans.
Nice.
And it was just, they are the centerpieces. They brought them here to play that. And I looked on my side and I was like, well, okay, well, what do we have? And I looked online and I started looking on the app, and again, that's where that the Stalker one comes in.
The Tomb Sentinel, the Seraptek Heavy Construct. Yes, yeah.
And I was like, well, I could bring that, and I started looking more into it. And I was like, well, do I get one? Do I look at it? And then the faff of making it, the hassle of the resin, hassle of painting it, the idea that it could go to Legends at any moment and I can't use it in a normal game. Just the worry. And I was like, well, for the cost and all these worries, it's not worth it in my eyes.
No.
Now, are they doing this for a reason?
Well, that's it. I mean, it is GW slowly winding down Forgeworld.
Yeah.
I mean, does it indicate that GW is getting rid of resin? I think it's the difficult one.
I don't know, because I don't know. I've just got nothing to add. It's so annoying.
I think it's probably one of the reasons I think it's probably not going to get the chop completely. And one of the reasons why it might be hard to get 40k Forge World at the moment is there's one very good reason for that, which is Warhammer the Old World.
True, yeah.
Because fantasy is absolutely flying, and it's doing really well, but almost all of those kits are resin. So they have to be made by Forgeworld. So that's taken up a lot of Forgeworld resource.
I didn't realise that. To be fair, didn't know that.
So yeah, all of those launches that you see on Warhammer Community, etc. These new boxes of the running through the Empire at the moment, Empire of Man as it's called now. So that's taking up all that resource to make those boxes in resin because that's what Forgeworld does.
Okay.
So as long as the Old World remains popular, they're probably going to focus on that.
Fair, right.
Because it's probably, I would guess, much easier to churn out those resin kits for infantry figures and smaller stuff than it is to produce
like one of those big ones is like 100 little guys.
Yeah, exactly. And so that profit wise, that's probably where they're making their money.
I mean, I was thinking in the back of my mind, which we'll talk about in another video, is are they winding back to swing again with a big refresh of a range? Could they do that?
They might do. I mean, the other thing is, like you said, we want to touch on this on another video, but what do you think that they're kind of removing big units from 40k, competitive 40k at least anyway?
Yeah, so we'll talk about more in the other video, but like it's that element of like, do we need them in 40k? Do we not?
I mean, you could, like you said, they could rescale them and bring them back in plastic, I suppose.
Yeah.
I mean, they're definitely reducing the number of 40k Forge World kits. I think they will stop making them in resin. If it does come back on the store, my advice, if you want one, is buy the Seraptek Heavy Construct, because I think this might be your last chance. It might then come back on. There's a lot of out of print stuff that comes back on an occasional cycle once every few years.
You see, like I'm almost like against that, because when I was looking at it, I was like, well, yeah, it'd be really good for like a narrative event, but like for me, the cost versus effort.
Cost versus effort, versus playability.
I'm just not for it. I guess there's definitely people out there who want it because it's an iconic model. It's
a
unique one, and if you like uniqueness, it is worth it.
It's Necron as hell as well. The Seraptek Heavy Construct is like
they all were. All of them were.
Yeah, you're right.
I think this is me. Like I'm just gutted that they got rid of them, and that's why I'm like, well, I don't want to get them now because you got rid of them so fast.
Yeah, you know that they're not part of the long-term plans, I guess.
Yeah, but definitely if you like the unique mods, I think definitely on board with it. But let's for me, it's a no.
Definitively say this then. You wouldn't buy any Forge World in its current state.
Nah. I just can't. Like I love. You mentioned all of them before. They all had uniqueness and they all look very Necron-y, and that's what I loved about it.
Yeah.
But now it's just they've lost my trust. If that makes sense.
That's exactly how I feel.
Yeah. They've just removed those models that were really good, and now I don't know what else is on the chopping block.
Yeah.
I mean, a special mention, Grot tanks. They came out in the Oak Codex. Yeah. They were like, hey, these are playable units. And about less than 2 months later,
moved them to Legends.
Moved units that were in the Codex, that 10th edition Codex, worth mentioning.
Yeah.
They were moved to Legends. What?
This happened with us,
so
with Necrons as well. So Nemesis, Andrek and Vargard Oberon, which are out of print resin models.
Yep.
And they moved them to Legends as well, didn't they?
They did.
There's another one as well whose name I forget. Tell us in the comments. There's a third Necron character that's gone to Legends. But
it's that one who controls vehicles.
Is it?
I think so. Yeah. But I've got the name too.
But yeah, I mean, I'd like to see them come back as plastic. I think I've heard too many horror stories about the build quality of Forge World, which we talked about right at the very beginning. I just don't see in any organisation the size and scale of GW why they can't have better quality control. Like you look in the box. When you put these kits together, is this bit warped? Yes. Right. Well, I need another one of those before I send this to the customer.
You do, but then I mean, there's like loads of videos online of people being like, "I'll get some warm water and stick it in there, and then pull it out and bend it back."
Yeah,
that'd be terrifying.
Yeah, my heart would be going like that.
Yeah, and what if you snapped it and you return it and they're like, "Oh, hold on,
you
snapped
broke it."
Yeah, you snapped this. It's like, no, it was warm.
It comes back to that, like you were saying, if you're spending north of £500 or $1,000 or whatever it is in your currency, I expect a top quality product. Well, yeah. I want the very bare minimum should be that the bits all fit together and are not bent.
Yeah.
So that's I wouldn't buy it. Would I buy a 3D print the Seraptek Heavy Construct? Possibly. you know?
Because again, it's that centerpiece. It would look amazing. It's very Necron-y, but I think there's two sides to this one.
I think there's
trust for me, but the element of a unique model that you might never see again as well.
Yeah, I think I'm more likely to buy a 3D proxy than I am for the Forge World, because the 3D proxy is going to be a fraction of the price. It's a lot of resin, but still a fraction of the price, and it's probably going to be more accurate in terms of the being able to put it together.
More unique as well, because it'll be a slightly different one. Yeah.
Let us know if any of you have done have got that, gone out and either 3D printed your own or have bought a 3D print. I'm really interested to know what your experiences were of that, because my suspicion is it was probably a smoother process than buying from Forge World and a lot cheaper.
I'd put money on that, to be fair.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. Final thoughts then. So I think I think it's fair to say there's still some question marks over where Forge World is going.
I just think because there's just no communication from Games Workshop about this, and the only communication they've got is the one that they came back out and said, it's going to be available, which doesn't give me hope or confidence that it's going to remain here.
No, that's the issue, isn't it?
Yeah, because
I think it feels like Last Chance Saloon more than anything else.
I think they've proven that they can just take it off the market without saying a single word. And then not.
So that would be awesome if GW could just actually get better, like we said, and have a kind of a discontinuation policy where they tell us about these things and have a timeline, so everybody knows they've got a chance of getting one if you want one.
Absolutely.
I do think the Warhammer the Old World is partly one of the reasons why this step. It's definitely keeping it afloat, and I think it's also why they're focusing more on that than the availability of the Forge World stuff. But it's made to order, so it shouldn't be an issue.
It's not like stock loads.
I think they have made some internal business decision that Forge World big stuff is not the future of 40k.
Yeah. Sad. Yeah. Sad to think that. Yeah. Because again, then these big grand narrative events, they're not going to get stale by no stretch of the imagination, but the units flexibility side of things, we're not going to see any.
You're going to see increasingly fewer of those.
Yeah. Unless obviously the organisers make their own custom ones, which is massive thumbs up. I know Scott done a few of those, which was amazing.
Yeah, I think that's the thing with narrative is it opens up that creativity to homebrew. You could homebrew your own rules for some of these things to allow people to still bring them, I suppose. And someone obviously will have downloaded the rules as they exist now. Yeah. So even if the GW takes that PDF off, it'll exist.
Here's an idea for the Games Workshop. Why don't they outsource this to maybe another company? I don't know, like Build World or something like that, and maybe they make custom models. Hold on, that was Forge World, wasn't it? Bad joke. I'm sorry.
I mean, that to me would have made more sense. In the old days, that's probably what would have happened. Somebody like Brian Anser would have come along and gone, well, if you're not interested in this, can I have it? Yeah. Let's spin it out. Yeah. You can keep a share in it, and then Games Workshop would end up buying it back probably at some point.
Exactly. That's what they always do.
Yeah, but there's a market for this. There is an appetite for it. There is, and it should still be a part of 40k for me. It would be 40k would become. A more dull place without some of these fantastic big centerpiece models. 100%. So I hope that we're wrong, and I hope that GW is still going to continue along this line. But I've definitely got big doubts.
I'm worried. Yeah, it is to say the least.
Let us know what you think. I hope you've enjoyed that discussion. But we'd be really keen to let us know what you feel about Forge World as well. Obviously, we'll get back to you. We like to try and reply to every comment that we get. Yeah. So don't feel like you're shouting into the void. We will be listening. In the meantime, thank you very much for watching, and we'll be back soon with another video. Thank you.
Thank you.